Welcome to Pure Chess. Going over a game against the Grandmaster, rated 1,000. Top right hand going to the screen. I'll start making some moves here. These are the basic opening here. Nothing super spectacular yet. Okay, we've got some positions, some interesting stuff going on. I decided to go for the pen early, knowing it's not going to work because this never does. But just put a pen in place. You want to try to get some early moves that you can get that have some potential later, and tie up some pieces. Okay, pawn forward. I decided to be conservative. The reason I moved that pawn forward there is basically so I can open up the bishop on c1 down the line potentially. Okay, knight forward there. I decide to respond with a pen on the queen, knowing that this is not going to hold. What I'm looking to do is eventually, first of all, develop the pieces. Secondly, I'm looking to try to figure out if their king does something, like castles to one side, I'm going to attack that side. If they don't, I'm going to try to hit the center position. And again, you got to develop pieces. So that one was a pretty good response to my move, which wasn't so great there. And now they've got 1, 2, 3 defenders. Okay, but the good news is that move right there means black is intended to castle. So we could potentially break apart that position, and I'm going to show you how that will work here. I decided to play the pawn forward. Not the greatest move, but I'm trying to at least protect what I have there. Maybe open up a shot for the rook. Potentially do some things with the knight. You want to leave yourself with a lot of different options to develop and be able to set up multiple attack prongs. Okay, there it is. That is the castle. So what's our next move? Right there. Yep. Bishop sacrifice. Going to hammer this position. Going to hammer this position right here. They're going to take the bishop, of course, because that's what the AI does, because the AI values pieces, whereas we are valuing position. We're going for checkmate. We're going for the win. We're not going for piece value. So that's what we're doing here. Bring the queen forward to d2. And here it becomes interesting. What they're doing, they put the knight in the middle. The question is, do I want to capture with the knight? It's threatening a lot. There's a lot of things it's threatening here. Potentially, it could do, if I move my queen forward, it could do a fork on my king and my rook. It could also take my bishop, but it can't do all the above. It can only do one of those. The question is, all right, we want to win the game, right? We want to be able to, we've got to get the king in a box. If we can bring a lot of pieces, we're going to win here, okay? So that may mean making some trade-offs. And the AI likes to take, good numerical trade-offs. So that's how we're going to exploit that here. I decided to play the queen. Just get the threat right there. Get the threat right here. Now, it's very important to work the right combination. Either queen, knight, queen, bishop, or potentially queen, rook. There's a lot of different ways this can be played here. Again, we want to keep those pieces consolidated, condensed, and attack the king spot here. Okay, just what we expected. Check fork. And we're going to lose a rook. Okay. I think this over for a while. I decide it's not worth it to take the knight, because it's not really doing anything. I've kind of got the knight boxed in. So I decide to just play rook h1 to g1. Alright, they move the pawn forward there and attack my bishop. I decide, after thinking over, not to do anything with the bishop and just give the bishop up. I decide to bring the knight forward to g5 right there, okay? Can't do checkmate yet, but what I'm looking to do is work some other pieces in and get to that point. Okay. They bring a bishop forward. I decide to play a pawn to f3 just to block anything they want to do there. The bishop's back there, of course. Keep in mind they have not taken my bishop on b5 yet. So next move here is going to be knight to e2. Why am I doing that? Well, I want to play knight to g3 and then eventually try to get checkmate. So like get knight to g5. That's the line, or h5, sorry. That's the line of thinking here. And that's where they decide to use the bishop and crash the other position. That presents a problem. I can't go to my next move with the knight. I need to address this issue here. I don't want the knight going to b3 and put me in check, because that shortens my moves. My goal is to shorten their moves, not the other way around. And this means that my threat is working because of the way they're attacking. So I decide to finally use the rook on g1 and just take the knight on a1, because the rook's not really doing anything on g1. I'd like to have it do something, but it's not doing anything at the moment. That's a good move there. And of course, this is a computer. They're rated 1,000. They're always going to make good tactical moves. So that's a good move there, capturing my bishop. Okay, now we got to spring forward. We've got knights in a crowded area with a queen. That's a very, very effective way of attacking a boxed-in king. And if you're looking for more tips and stuff on this, I've got a bunch of stuff on pretty much every single one of the chess problems is on this channel. There's a separate playlist for that. I'll try to put a link in the description for that. But what I decided to do here is just play the knight forward to g3 like we discussed earlier. They move the rook forward from a8 to a7. Try to potentially defend, I believe. And there's where we spring it. Now, fortunately, the bishop is kind of pinning the rook, and they didn't want to move that bishop on a2, which is really good, because now we're threatening checkmate right here. So what do? The only thing you can do when they're threatening checkmate, you put your opponent in check. So they capture that piece right there with the knight, put me in check. I decide to recapture with the pawn on e4. And of course, it's not going to be done yet. They're going to be coming after me. This is where it gets a little tricky. Okay. Put me in check there. After much debate, I decide to capture with the pawn. So finally use the pawn. Finally use the pawn there. Next move, of course, is going to be a check. And the reason I'm getting checked heavily is because I'm threatening checkmate. They're doing everything they can to avoid it. This computer will not resign. It just plays it out. So check right there. I go back, move back one spot, basically covering anything they can do check-wise. And obviously that check right there is a desperation check. I go ahead and capture the queen. They move their rook forward, which doesn't really help at all. And there we have it. Checkmate. Game over. And that's it. Thanks for watching and good luck.